Yo, what's going on, people? It's your boy Huncho, back at you again with another video. So before we jump into the video, YouTube has implemented something new, and that is timestamps, which show up on the little red YouTube bar when you're watching a video. And honestly, I think it works perfectly for these news stories, because on top of YouTube obviously implementing the idea, I know some of you have been asking me to do it so you guys can jump to the stories that you're most interested in. So from now on, if I use this format, I'll keep doing it as requested by you guys. So with that being said, our first story is an update in the Chad Gordon situation. Now, as some of you guys know, we've been monitoring this story in where a 27-year-old autistic man, that being Chad Gordon, was shot dead on his front doorstep in a case of mistaken identity in Haringey on the 18th of May 2020. And the last we heard is that police had found a moped that they believe was involved in the shooting, and they went on to arrest and charge 23-year-old Clive Spencer over the murder. But I did explain that another man was involved in the incident, and it looks like police have gone on to arrest and charge a second man. Tali Olabisi, aged 23 of no fixed address, was arrested on the 31st of May 2020 and was charged on the 1st of June 2020, and he was to appear at Highbury Magistrates Court at a later date. So it does seem like the police have got their two suspects now, but again, if there is any further updates surrounding this shooting, as always, I'll keep you guys updated. Which moves us on to our next story, and that is Harlesden trending number 2 on UK Twitter last night after this had happened.
Come on, I City, big up Irish. Come on, clock looking litty, yeah? Look like Arrow Road and I was a youth man to blood clot. Mantic. Send the Adam go slide. Push your right. Limpy out here. Let them know that Northwest, baby. Let them know. Come on. God from New London. God from East London. Somebody one iron off that holy. No. Hold on. Everybody get your Snapchats out. Everybody get your Snapchats out. And make sure the blood cloud flash on. Get your Snapchats out. Make sure the flash is.
So it's being reported that over 500 partygoers descended into Gifford Road and neighbouring streets in the Church End estate in Harlesden for a late night block party in defiance of the lockdown rules. Videos of the party were shared on social media platforms and soon cooked up a storm on Twitter when people were outraged at the number of people that were there, even though lockdown rules were still in place. Police had scrambled to break up the party and dispatched a helicopter and multiple riot vans, but it's thought the rave had continued for hours after that. Clive McBride, who lives on Church Road, saw saw the party unfold and said he did not know the reason for it, and he went on to say, "All I know is that it started around 6 p.m. and the police arrived at around 8 p.m. The police closed some of the side roads to stop any more from joining the party, even though some more partygoers got through by jumping fences. At one stage there were fireworks which I thought would have stopped the party, but the police let it continue." It was said that this morning police vans were parked along surrounding streets with police helicopters flying off at 4:30 a.m. and the Met said 11 of its officers were assaulted and received minor injuries when a small minority of partygoers refused to leave. And they put out a statement saying police were attending the area of Gifford Road following reports of an unlicensed music event. Officers engaged and dispersed large groups of people which gathered in the area. 5 arrests were made, 3 for assaults on police, 1 for a fray, and 1 for attempted grievous bodily harm and dangerous driving, all remain in custody. So the borough of Brent, for you guys who didn't know, was one of the most affected boroughs during the pandemic, so you can see why people were frustrated at what was going on. But you gotta ask yourself this: thousands of people have been defying the lockdown rules by going to British beaches all across the country over the past couple of weeks, and where's the outcry for that? Now if you take a look here, you can see that although yes, not super crammed on a block, there's certainly more people going to beaches than there was last night. So let's not have one rule for one and one rule for the other. Either everyone gets moaned at or no one gets moaned at. And a disclaimer, although yes, the video is from Nines' Instagram, that doesn't mean it had anything to do with him. He could have literally just been attending the party, and to be honest, it looked fucking lit, I'm not gonna lie. Which moves us on to our next 2 stories, and they both surround park fights. Now, as you guys know, there was a fight that had broken out in Hyde Park the other day, which seen 3 men stabbed and 4 men arrested over the incident. And as it stands right now, there's no further updates, but if you guys remember, police chiefs did warn that as lockdown eases, we would see a rise in violent crime, especially surrounding gang violence. Now, from what I can gather, it doesn't seem like any of these incidents are gang related, but the first incident did take place at Hampstead Heath at around 6:30 p.m, where 6 people were arrested following a brawl involving hundreds of youths. The incident had become that bad that police with riot shields had turned up to try and break things up, and after the incident, a dispersal order had been put in place for the Heath and nearby Parliament Hill, and the Met had come out to say that the public had been told to stay away. Park visitor Jonathan Jones estimated that there were at least 50 officers at the scene, and he went on to say, "On the way into the park, we heard and saw police car after police car, and then when we actually got into the park entrance, 3 vans had rolled in, and there were a lot of police officers." He said it wasn't clear what had sparked the brawl, but he did say that he saw 2 girls being led away in handcuffs. He continued, "It looked as if police were trying to break up a fight, and then at some point, it looks like someone was trying to go for one of the officers." So from other reports, it's being said that the group, who were mainly girls, had been involved in a series of fights, and in fact the majority of them were only aged between 12 and 16. A witness at the scene said that one of the fights had ignited over a dispute about one of the girls' shoes. Now I'm sorry, but what kind of parenting skills are these people giving their children when their kids are literally fighting over shoes? If any of the parents are watching this, if any of your children have been involved in this fight, you really need to be having a conversation with them, because these are literally kids whose age is that of a year 7, and riot police are coming out for them, so please just let that sink in for a minute. Now, I know any decent parent after seeing this will discipline their children after finding out this is what they're up to, but honestly you really do need to be having a conversation, because no 12-year-old should be having big riot police coming out for them. And this situation does remind me of the Blue Story Brawl situation that happened not too long ago, where if you remember, kids aged around 13 years old had brought machetes to a cinema, and then a brawl had happened and there were literally toddlers around. And if there's any kids watching this and they're thinking about doing the same thing, or they have the same mentality, I just want you to know that if you do get caught for doing something like this, you will end up having a criminal record. And trust me, by the time you're like 25, 26, maybe even before that, you'll more than likely end up regretting it big time, because now you think you're young and you think nothing's gonna stop you, but when reality hits you and you grow up and you realize that things like this can really mess things up for you in the future, you're gonna regret it big time. So it's always best just to try and avoid situations like this. So the next incident seemed to have took place at Canon Hill Park in Birmingham, where this time it seems to have happened over a robbery and flick knives had been seized by police. Video footage circulated online, which I'm not going to show here, but I will show stills for the B-roll, showed armed youths brawling each other in front of families who attended the park. Violence had erupted on the 1st of June 2020 after a group had tried to rob a man of his expensive designer pouch. The footage shows several men surrounding the victim and repeatedly punching, kicking kicking and stamping on him as he lies on the floor. Officers had rushed to the scene after members of the public had called police, and they recovered 2 black flick knives after the group dispersed. One witness who did not want to be named said, "It all kicked off after these lads targeted one bloke for his pouch. It was really expensive, but he wouldn't give it up. All of a sudden, people started flying in at all angles and started kicking the hell out of him. All of them were just picking on this one guy. It was really disgusting. There were hundreds of people in the park, and it was a lovely day. A lot of families with kids were about, and it couldn't have been nice to witness this. It was all a bit chaotic, but fights then started breaking out all over the place." A West Midlands police spokesperson said, "We were called to reports of a disorder between a large group of people in Canon Hill Park at around 7:30 p.m. on Monday, June the 1st, 2020. Officers attended and on searching the area discovered 2 knives. Of course, the footage went viral, and today on the 3rd of June 2020, it seems like the West Midlands police went on to arrest a 13-year-old boy on suspicion of robbery, and he still remains in police custody. Now again, in this incident, along with the first one, this is literally children who are involved in these incidents. And like I said earlier, if you are in secondary school and you're watching this, trust me, you don't want to be involved in this kind of thing, because again, when you get older, you're going to regret it big time. And of course, we don't know if this 13-year-old was in possession of the knife, but police have arrested him for the robbery, and that's a big charge for a 13-year-old to be having on his criminal record. Now imagine this. Imagine he gets to the age of, say, 22. He might have turned his life around, and he gets a job opportunity maybe in Australia or America, and he can't go there because of this robbery charge he had when he was 13, because trust me, they're getting a lot harsher with immigration laws. Like even in Japan, listen to this, if you get caught with a spliff and it's on your record, you can't even get into the country. If you don't believe me, you can literally go and Google search it, and you'll see how harsh countries are becoming with allowing people in if they have a criminal record. So it's just something to think about, along with the list of other things that come with having a criminal record. Which then moves us on to our last story, and that is a little update in the Black Lives Matter protests that are happening in London. So as you guys know, there's currently protests underway in London, sparked by the George Floyd situation, but of course people have taken to the streets over police brutality in the UK. Now it seems like today had the biggest turnout, but it does seem like now we're seeing protests turn violent after 2 men were arrested outside Downing Street. The Telegraph is reporting that one policeman was punched in the face, while dozens of people wearing face masks had started scaling railings in Westminster. They went on to say that the Met confirmed that 2 men had been arrested on suspicion of assaulting an emergency worker, a violent disorder following an incident at Downing Street, and they have been taken into custody. Now of course, let's not shy away from the fact that throughout the day, peaceful protesting had been taking place, with literally thousands of people hitting up Hyde Park to join the marches, and of course they went all over London, and it even seems like A-list celebrities had shown up to support the cause. Now again, these protests seem like they're going to be going on for weeks, and they're being held every day in London, so I will make sure to keep you guys updated for any key moments that happen throughout the protests. But let me know what you guys think of this in the comment section below, give the video a little like, and if you want the latest drill, street and music news out of the UK, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your boy Huncho, and I'm out.